What is up guys, Sam here from Fanatical, and today I am at Bandai Namco's headquarters in Richmond, which is in London in the United Kingdom. Today I'm speaking to Lee Curtin, who is the Director of Marketing and Communications here at Bandai, about Man of Medan, some other Gamescom games that were announced that we're going to get to try in a few moments time. Lee's going to tell us a little bit more about the industry as a whole and what he gets up to on a regular basis. So, let's get inside. Lee, thanks for allowing us to come down to Bandai today and speak to you. Obviously you've got a busy schedule, but thanks for having time for us. First of all, I want to speak a little bit about the recent game that's come out, obviously Man of Medan. Had great reviews, you played it yourself. What's the feedback and response been like from gamers at the minute?
Really good, actually, yeah. We knew we had something pretty unique with it, in the sense that it was the first horror anthology in the video game space, I suppose. But working with Supermassive was kind of sort of the main entry into that market, in the sense that they've already had brilliant success with Until Dawn, which I loved personally and played about 15 times. So for me, especially being UK based as well, and Supermassive being based in Guildford, which is like the sort of Hollywood of the UK video game space, it was really nice to be able to work on this new anthology with them, and the first one being Man of Medan. So really pleased with the first game, really happy with the response, especially the actual consumer response, and looking at sort of content creators and how they're really utilising the game and getting across the fun that they're having with it and the choices, good ones and bad ones, they're making in the game. So yeah, really happy with the first game and looking forward to more titles in the anthology as well. Well, I speak to a lot of friends who are kind of, 35 plus, and they don't have sort of 15-20 hours to play like a lot of video games that are out there that require a lot of your time and energy. The great thing about Man of Medan in comparison to Until Dawn is that it's a shorter, more snackable experience, but not lost any of the kind of quality. If not, it's more quality than what you've seen already in Until Dawn. And obviously moving from the engine that they worked on with Sony for Until Dawn onto Unreal 4 gave us the opportunity to obviously launch this across platforms. So it's the first time we've managed to bring this kind of genre of horror to the Xbox One and the PC as well, which is great. The nice thing about it is, depending on stupid decisions, which I've made a couple. So my first playthrough, I ended up losing 2 of my squad. And then what I actually did was played it through again and lost 1 other. And then the nice thing is you can actually go back and pick a chapter. Okay. So you can actually go back and it will give you references to that particular point. So you could essentially go back to the point before you killed somebody by a stupid mistake and bring them back to life in a way. So it's unique in the sense that there are so many different endings, so many different paths, and a lot of the work was done to make it completely fresh really every single time you play it. Yeah. So if you keep playing it, there's always stuff that you haven't seen before, which is quite unique for the game as well. So I think that's the beauty of it, and also the fact that in comparison to Until Dawn didn't have multiplayer components at all. However, Until Dawn was known to be a really sociable game. So friends would just sit around and play it together, with a pizza and some beers, and then they would kind of all involve themselves and help make decisions. So Man of Medan and the anthology titles were sort of built from the ground up in the beginning to be fully playable with a friend online, but also in the movie night experience where you can get friends around and you can pick which character you want, and during scenes of the game you can then pass the controller. So there's kind of 2 sort of multiplayer sort of couch and online components in there that makes it really different to Until Dawn. I loved Until Dawn. I love this because it's a bit shorter, but like friends of mine, they haven't got those kind of hours, but they can get through this, and and people are really enjoying it, which is cool. So yeah, really happy. I'm speaking on behalf of Supermassive here, in the sense that this is sort of one of the things they're known for doing really well. I mean, it's all about clever storytelling and having great writers, and also that kind of flow system in terms of how you create the character's path, because there are many paths that they can take depending on your choices. So it's not an easy thing, it's a very complicated thing to do. Even if a story is 4 to 5 hours long or 15, 16 hours long, it's a long drawn out process, including all of the motion capture, performance capture, animation work, and also what they're known for in terms of camera placement, and you know, every scene looks like a photo, and every camera's placed really specifically as if it's a movie that you're playing. You know, at some points in the game you really don't think you're playing a game. So it's making sure that there's a unique balance between the character choice making system. Obviously quick time events are there to kind of help the action and the pace of the game. If you've played games from Quantic Dreams, you know the kind of thing it's there. But you're also in control of the characters, you know, realistically. So you can walk around, you can move the camera around with the right stick, you can interact with objects. But the balance, it's key to get the balance right between the button prompts, quick time events, making the choices, quick reactions as well. Reactions are really key. When you play it through, like Until Dawn, you'll realise that you're feeling the pressure of the characters, and that's the whole idea of the game, is trying to put you under exactly the same pressure. And that's why the particular gameplay mechanics are built in the way that they are, because there'll be times when you're sort of like relaxed and chilled and exploring, but there'll be times where you feel scared and you feel a bit uncomfortable, and then there's times where you're really under pressure, and you are really in control of everything. So you can spur on the relationships, how you feel towards people, how you want them to feel towards you. I mean, you could be a complete arse and just do all the wrong things, be horrible, but you'll see what happens at that point. I mean, when I played Until Dawn, there was like some characters I really loved and one or two I didn't, and I sort of bumped them off, you know, and maybe that's not a nice thing to do, but actually what's interesting is how people are playing it online, because they're not chatting through voice. So when they're playing online, you could be down on a dive down to this wreck, and you're involved in a scene and making choices that affect that situation. That could then affect the situation that's going up on the boat, where your other player, that your friend you're playing online with, is making their choices. So actually, if you're playing with a friend, you don't know what choices they're making, and there will be scenes where you'll be together and you'll see the person making the choice, because they'll just kind of like look around for a second and then they'll make the decision which will impact you and impact them. So what's interesting is how those stories have been played out, because they're completely unique, because you could actually play online with somebody and just be horrible to your friend, make all the wrong choices and just try and get that person killed. So it's going to be, I can't imagine people playing it normally. I think people are literally going to just do it to try and like get one over on their friends. Yeah, I mean, without sounding sort of blowing our own trumpet, I mean, we definitely have those genres pretty much owned, in the sense that, I mean, the two genres I would definitely say that we kind of excel in is fighting and anime manga. A lot of that is down to the quality of games that we produce, the licenses that we have, because obviously Bandai Namco Entertainment are sort of two companies that come together in the powerhouses that they were in their own separate fields. Bandai most, you know, historically in toys and animations and anime overall, and Namco, which is synonymous with, you know, Time Crisis, Ridge Racer, Tekken, Soul Calibur, Ace Combat, Point Blank. The list goes on, you know, Galaga. And, you know, obviously having the most iconic character in the Western market with Pac-Man as well, which still is really popular today. The manga side of things, or anime side of things, especially with Dragon Ball, I would say is our number one or most popular leading animes. And we're quite lucky in the UK because it's back on TV, on Pop, which is awesome, because it's been off TV for a while. I don't know if people are watching TV anymore, or kids, but they seem to be, because the ratings are good. But with the likes of TV and Crunchyroll and our games, especially recently with Dragon Ball FighterZ and the upcoming Dragon Ball Kakarot as well. And I've been working on Dragon Ball games for the best part of 20 plus years, so I've seen them kind of, I always remember the first one and people said it looks just like the anime. And like 20 years later we're saying it looks just like the anime. But they still manage to get better and better in terms of how they look and how the stories come across and how they're faithful to the universe, which is really important. And that's really important to the licenses that we have. So with titles like One Punch Man, you know, with One Piece, Naruto, you know, even our own sort of Tales of titles, we try to remain 100% faithful to the source material that either we've created or the licenses we're lucky to work with the licensees on. So we own that side of things. I think there are other companies that have some anime. We've got the best ones, of course. And then the fighting market, obviously Tekken, awesome, always has been since I was a kid. Obviously Dragon Ball FighterZ has now really kind of entered that area, that space, that competitive space, I suppose. But whereas Dragon Ball was always a fighting game and so is Naruto, it's now a proper fighter. You know, it can compete in the esports world. It can sort of hold its head up higher with the likes of Tekken and Soul Calibur and sort of say, you know, I'm one of the best out there now. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool to have those. Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what we did when we started working on Little Nightmares with Tasha, the first Little Nightmares game. What we saw was, and you've got to remember going back, you know, this was kind of, you know, initial early stages of seeing really nice, neat, indie-esque style titles, but really utilising Unreal 4 in a really special way, and the use of lighting and style, with titles like Inside and Limbo and even Unraveled, which was a title I really loved. And looking at Little Nightmares, it kind of sat in that field of sort of short, story-driven games, but without sort of telling you too much, like Dark Souls in a way. You know, we don't really tell you anything when you play Dark Souls. You just go in there and you get what you get out of it, and you kind of create your own adventure yourself. You will pick up stuff on stories. And Little Nightmares was a little bit like that as well, which is a challenging title to communicate on as well, because we don't want to tell people anything about it. Apart from the fact that you're going to play this character called Six, who wears a little yellow raincoat, and you can't really see the character's face, and you're in this horrific yet sort of scary, but as you say, Tim Burton-esque world. And you got, the nice thing was these little mechanics, you know, you don't kill anybody, you know, you just got to survive as if you were just a little girl or boy, which comes later in Little Nightmares. And then it's sort of, you're in this horrible place called the Moor, and you don't really kind of know what's going on. You just know that there's these kind of cannibal-esque like people about, if you can call them people, and you're trying to get out of there. And then when it came to the end, wasn't really much explained with the end really, and then we had some really cool DLC. And now with Little Nightmares 2, the team have managed to sort of take all the brilliant things they did with that and expand on that to another level. So new characters will be introduced. I can't tell you anything about the story. All I can say is it's a much higher ambitious game than the first one. It's a good question. I ask that myself every day of the week. We obviously prioritise our workload in terms of what we're focused on. So recently we've been sort of 100% focused on Man and Medan and Code Vein, which is just around the corner, and Little Nightmare, Ni no Kuni Remastered, which is coming up. So it's not easy because we work on a lot of titles, but what we do is we categorise them in terms of priority. So a lot of it's down to business as well, you know, like the forecast that certain titles might have compared to others. So it's also, some titles might be out and they've already got an established fan base, we know who they are. It's very simple to talk to them, and it's very easy to engage with them, give them the information they need. Smaller marketing campaigns, you know, like something like Digimon, for example. You know, I think we know where every single person that loves Digimon is in the UK, and which is great because they're really supportive and we keep making games, which is cool. So it's not easy, but we're so good that we can do it. No, honestly, I mean, to be honest, it's also having, you know, the right team with you, and just making sure that you can sit down as early as possible when you start. You know, a title's either been greenlit or it's been signed, because, you know, we have our own group titles, which are pretty much the titles we've been talking about, but then we have our third-party titles as well. So, you know, we're lucky because we have really strong relationships with some of those studios. Especially like CD Projekt Red, you know, I've worked with them since the original Witcher on the PC. So there's a long kind of history of, you know, I suppose, of support and work that they're kind of they know we can do, and sort of the trust in terms of their products, and that's really important to us. So we just have to manage our time. When we first saw the VR elements of Ace Combat quite a long time ago now, I must admit I was super shocked, and I was like, this is what VR is made for, especially on a home console like a PS4. You know, obviously you've got HTC Vive and you've got Oculus, and in some aspects they can produce better visuals because of the hardware. We have Project Cars on Oculus, which is just mind-blowing. I think it's actually the best experience you could probably have with VR, Project Cars. I really do. And then I saw Ace Combat and tried it, and I was like, my God, this is amazing, like really amazing. And for me, it's about having that fixed cockpit perspective in VR as well. The VRs I don't think come across so well or don't resonate well with people is when you're playing first-person shooters or first-person experiences, because your body is essentially stable in the real world, but it's moving in the virtual world, and the two just don't compute. So ultimately, that's why it causes some sickness and, you know, whatever in some people. You know, with Ace Combat, it was you were in that fixed position in the combat, and you felt like you were in a Top Gun movie, which is exactly what we wanted people to feel. But at the same time, appreciate the fact that people don't want long content, you know, on VR. They want experiences. We have VR experiences out of home, so in our theme parks. So in Japan we have a number of theme parks and VR-like experiences in a lot of our titles, even Pac-Man. And in the UK we have some of those experiences as well in our VR zone, which we've got one at the O2, for example, and that puts out of-home experiences into people's hands. And I think when it comes to home console or home gaming, we look at each product and decide whether or not that it's right for VR. I think VR's got a strong future, I really do. I just think that maybe this generation it's there, and I think as you got to remember, as we move forward to the new generations and technology evolves, and then we have wireless headsets and it's a lot more, let's say, user friendly than it currently is at the moment, then that's going to evolve and the market's going to change, and we'll all be in Ready Player One within 5 years, you know, just kind of walking around with headsets on. I mean, I do fear that, but luckily I'm getting old, so I won't be around too much to see it. But that's kind of like where it sort of looks like it's heading. Well, I think, I mean, the one thing that's key is it's educating everybody, because we're looking at what's going on in the market. We're looking at what consumers are saying, what they like, what they don't like, and obviously loot boxes is something they don't like. They don't want to be controlled in terms of they bought, you know, spent all this money on a game and then they have to spend, you know, in-game purchasing for whatever reasons. We do what we do. We don't. We're quite lucky because, you know, we're a very CSR focused company in terms of like the focus on people and how they feel and how we make them feel. And, you know, you wouldn't catch us specifically making a game that glorified violence in that way, in certain ways. We're very kind of focused on providing sort of, we have these mottos like dreams, fun and inspiration, and, you know, more fun for everyone. And we're very much similar to sort of Nintendo in that vein, where of course you'll see some sort of action games and things, and obviously fighting games, but they're kind of things that really exist in the real world, whether it be martial arts or but it's not really our job to upset customers. Our job, and everybody will say this, and I'm really trying not to come across as a corporate person because I'm not, but a lot of what we do is for people, and then we get feedback and we try and make things better. So, but I think that every company's got their own business models and how they release their games. But actually the only content that you're going to pay money for is fully fledged massive content. So suddenly when the 2 DLC packs came out, which were like 30, 40 hours plus, you're willing to pay a bit of money for that because you can tell a whole entire team has spent years developing that. Secretly, I'm a writer. Okay. Well, I try to be. I spend, you know, I've got a little boy, I spend as much time as I can with him, and he's football and he plays football, so I'm a long young, old, suffering Charlton supporters just growing up. I don't really follow them so much anymore, but I sort of take a sort of keen interest, and even at the moment, because they're doing quite well at the moment, yeah, which is quite interesting. But me, really, rugby was my thing. So I used to play rugby, but sort of investing all my weekends into Harry and him and his football, because he's good at it. I think all parents say their kids are good, so he's just as good as they are. But you really enjoy that. I like writing stories ever since I was a kid, so I've got like 2 films that I'm writing. Whether anything will ever happen to them, which probably will be a no, because I will never finish them. So it's kind of like I'm a bit of a dreamer. You know, I come up with these ideas and start writing them down, and luckily have friends in the film industry and actor friends and people that I've worked with who are writers that I can sort of like offload these kind of things to, and they just go, yeah, these are great, you know. And I'm like, well, help me write it, you know. So things like that I like to do, which is quite cool. And just think life's short as well, you know, especially when you've had sort of bad things happen in your life. You kind of like just want to kind of like live for the moment and just make sure you sort of enjoy yourself. So even though I'm not sort of like 24 anymore, I kind of like going out and having a good time and seeing friends and boring them with my talk as I am you right now. But just kind of spending time with people and having a few beers and chilling out and talking about movies. I love film, love movies, like that's probably my favourite thing. Love music, go and see live bands with friends in London and stuff. And so yeah, no, just like anybody else really, I just kind of focus a lot on work, because work takes up a lot of your time, but at the same time sort of like to do the sort of social things as much as possible. Try not to go to a lot of industry events anymore, because I've sort of done all that, and I'm sort of leaving that up to the youth to do now. And yeah, no, it's cool, I love it, it's great.
So, we're here at Bandai Namco HQ, where we are trying out some of their Gamescom announced games, which are coming out in the next 12 to 18 months. First up is One Punch Man, A Hero Nobody Knows.
Yeah.
It's got a good soundtrack.
Yeah, which is fine. Well, then there's a...
Come on in. Oh. Ooh, that was an heavy punch. I don't know why I'm running around with my hands behind my neck. I've just arrived on a bike. It's like London. It's really London. Obviously, it's based on the animated series, so you've got that kind of cel shaded kind of look to it. Yeah, like the style of this fight, it's very similar to like Dragon Ball. You kind of move around the arena and fight. I'm really trying to concentrate. One Punch Man. First impressions of the game, pretty impressed with like the animations and the combat style, similar to sort of Dragon Ball. There's an element of it where One Punch Man actually comes in at the end and one punches you, I guess. So, but no, I enjoyed that. It's 3v3 combat. There's only select modes that you can see there, but from what I've seen, pretty impressed with it, so I would buy it. I would buy it once. One Punch Man, one buy. Next up, Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch Remastered. Looking forward to this. It's an action adventure. If you didn't get to play it the first time around, this is going to be the one for you. Let's give it a go. There's a herd of potatoes chasing me. It's a really pretty game. It's a kind of like isometric view as well, which is I tend to like in quite a lot of indie games, so for like a sort of AAA value. It's really nice. I've got a grocery bag and I've got a pint of milk. I'm not sure what to do. I'm about to fight a thing called a ruff with a stick. First impressions of Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch Remastered. I have to keep looking at the screen because I can't remember the whole name of that game. Very sort of story orientated, the kind of action adventure where like people of all ages will enjoy it. That was very early on in the game where you sort of just like getting into the origins of the character and then entering in like this magical world. But the combat seems cool. It's sort of like real-time strategy a little bit, and you can also pick up some health perks and magic perks as well. So overall, pretty impressed. Next we have Code Vein. I've played the beta. It's a hardcore RPG. It's a bit unforgiving if you've not played it before, but you will get used to it. It is rewarding once you beat the big bosses, so let's get stuck in. So, verdict on Code Vein. Still as difficult as I found it the last time. It's a very kind of Dark Souls-like hardcore RPG. very unforgiving. You've got to die a lot to learn a lot, and then progress your character by basically killing people, collecting weapons, and upgrading your character. Graphics wise, sort of that animated style again that Bandai are very popular with, but a bit more of a kind of 3D edge to this one. Single player, you need a lot of help from your AI friend. They are your friend, they get you up when you've died. They don't get you up when you've died for the second time, because then you just die anyway, for good. But yeah, if you love the kind of Dark Souls games, get stuck into this. Up next, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. It's an RPG based around the anime series, or manga series, whichever you want to call it, where you follow the adventures of Goku. Looking forward to this, as this isn't this similar sort of arcade style fighting game which we're used to with Dragon Ball. So, very much looking forward to this one. Let's go. Without a doubt, that was my favourite game of today. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. They've not only taken everything you love about the franchise and that we've seen in the arcade style games, they've also turned it into more of an RPG now, so you can go anywhere you want, do whatever you want. You can fish, you can kick a deer in the head, you can go fight robots. I think it's a deer, I don't know. But yeah, I was really impressed with that game. Without a doubt, I love the Dragon Ball games anyway, but definitely play this one. Upgrade your character. You've got Piccolo with you, he'll help you fight in battles against robots, and a massive world to explore as well.
Would you recommend it?
Yes, buy this game now, even though it's not available.